Hello, I'm Shane M. Nygaard, and welcome to Venus, Beauty Entering Existence. This is a Mythic Currents video and exploration of the astrological Venus. Before beauty became personal, it was cosmic. That is where this presentation begins, with Venus restored to a larger image. What happens if we stop beginning with Venus as romance, attraction, taste, or pleasure, and begin instead with Venus as a cosmic mystery? What if Venus is the way beauty enters the world? That question opens something extraordinary. Venus becomes more than a planet of preference. She becomes the archetypal power through which existence becomes desirable, through which the world begins to invite the soul. This presentation is part of a larger mythopoetic approach to astrology, one that begins with the image itself before translating it into psychology. So rather than asking first, how do I experience Venus? We begin with the deeper question. What is Venus? What kind of reality does she reveal? And what if the answer is beauty entering existence? See, we have seen cosmic beauty with our own modern eyes. When the James Webb Space Telescope sent back its first great images, the ancient, vast starry sky became newly near. We saw it close. Galaxies bending light across deep time, nebulae unfolding in luminous veils, stellar nurseries glittering in dust and flame. These images are scientific, of course, but aren't they also revelations of extraordinary beauty? They remind us that beauty is profoundly older than the human face, older than romance, older than art, older than the personal eye that beholds it. Beauty belongs first to the cosmos itself. That matters for Venus, because if Venus is recognized in the starry sky, then beauty is not merely personal taste. It is not only what one person likes or finds attractive. Before beauty becomes intimate, it is immense. Before it becomes personal, it is starborn. And that changes how we approach Venus from the beginning. The myth of Aphrodite's birth is astonishing. She is born from the castration of Ouranos, the starry sky, Uranus, by Kronos, aka Saturn. When Ouranos, the starry sky, is wounded, his severed member is cast down and carried by the waters of the world. Aphrodite rises from the sea. There is nothing small or sentimental in this origin. It is violent, beautiful, strange, and cosmic. Isn't that an extraordinary image? Venus does not begin in a human love story. She begins where the starry sky meets the sea. That tells us something important. Venus is not merely prettiness. She is not merely charm. She is cosmic beauty entering form. The starry sky is too vast for the body to inhabit directly. I mean, think about it. We cannot live among galaxies. We cannot wear the Milky Way across our skin. Yet something of that vastness seeks earthly expression. The cosmos wants contour. Beauty wants body. The heavens, Ouranos, seek a way to become visible, touchable, desirable, and near. This is Venus. So, what happens if we begin here? Venus as cosmic beauty entering existence. I mean, that single image changes everything. Suddenly, Venus is not simply the planet of what we like, or whom we love, or what we find pleasing. Venus becomes the mystery of why anything becomes desirable at all. Why does the eye open? Why does the body turn? Why does the soul feel drawn toward one color, one face, one voice, one room, one gesture, one way of living? Hmm. Venus awakens the world as invitation. When she is past, form is no longer merely functional. It begins to have presence. It begins to call. A chair, a sentence, a song, a body, a garden, a doorway. Each can become more than an object or event. Each can become a way the world says, come closer, enter, participate. This is the Venus we're exploring here. Which brings us to aesthetics. The word can sound decorative, as if aesthetics were only about style or surface. But underneath it is aesthesis, meaning perception, sensation, the soul's awakened capacity to feel and respond. What if aesthetics is not an extra layer placed on top of life? What if aesthetics is the soul waking through the senses? Then the opposite becomes very revealing. Anesthetics. The words need to sit close together. I mean, this is Venus as aesthetics, not anesthetics. Because when you think about it, one wakes the senses, the other dulls them. That contrast is essential. Venus restores the felt world, texture, tone, color, scent, and rhythm. These are not trivial. They are part of how the soul knows it is alive. Anesthetics put the soul to sleep. Through Venus, existence is not only understood, it is felt. The world becomes available again. The body returns. The senses open. Beauty wakes the soul back into the world. And this is where Edward Carpenter becomes such a powerful companion for Venus. Carpenter was a Victorian era English poet, philosopher, socialist, and prophet of a more beautiful common life. In the spirit of his book Angel's Wings, he moves through many aspects of life: painting, music, the body, nature, the gods, individuality, work, manners, and daily living, until he arrives at a profound claim. Life itself is expression. Art. And what if art is not complete when it remains apart from life? What if beauty wants to enter the work we do, the homes we keep, the gestures we make? the bodies we inhabit, the words we speak, the relationships we tend. That is such a Venusian possibility. I mean, beauty does not want permanent exile on the wall of a gallery. It wants incarnation. It wants the chair, the cup, the doorway, the garden, the garment, the hand, the table, the exchange between one person and another. Carpenter helps us imagine Venus as beauty entering the common life. And Carpenter's image of wings is crucial. The wings are anatomically impossible. I mean, think about it. The world can explain them away. It can ask where the bones would go, how the muscles would lift, how the body would bear the weight of wings. And still, the wings return in painting, in drawing, in stories, in film, in so many areas of life. Why? Because the wings answer a human need that facts alone do not satisfy. They give form to a longing for passage beyond ordinary limits. They allow the invisible to appear. That is the imaginal truth of wings. And this is where Venus comes back into view. Venus gives the soul wings of perception. She gives beauty to what might otherwise remain mute, plain, inert, or unnoticed. Something too large for ordinary language finds its way into color, stone, music, gesture, fabric, fragrance, and relation. Beauty becomes a bridge between the real and the dreamed. And once that bridge appears, reality itself is changed. Even the word cosmetics becomes more mysterious when Venus is restored to her cosmic origin. We often hear cosmetics as surface, as vanity, or just appearance. But at its root, cosmetics belongs to cosmos, which means order, arrangement, adornment, and the making of beauty visible. I find that truly fascinating. The face becomes a little cosmos. The room becomes a little cosmos. The table, the cloth, the altar, the poem, the carefully chosen word. Each can become a way of arranging the world so beauty can appear. This does not make cosmetics shallow. It actually makes them symbolic. It suggests that to arrange, adorn, shape, polish, or compose can be a sacred act when it participates in beauty. Venus takes the unbearable grandeur of the heavens and translates it into something near enough to touch. The cosmos becomes contour. Beauty becomes body. The starry sky enters form. This is why beauty awakens us. And here we can hear Venus speaking back to Uranus, because Uranus is often called the awakener, the one who shocks, opens, reveals, disrupts, and alters our relation to reality. But Venus is born solely from Uranus, from Ouranos, the starry sky. So, what kind of awakening does Venus inherit? Perhaps Venus is the beauty of reality awakened. We may move through life half asleep, reduced to schedule, labor, fatigue, transaction, and explanation. Life continues. We function. We answer emails. We cross rooms. We complete tasks. Then beauty enters. A branch in bloom, a voice in song, a cup shaped by a hand, a body moving with grace, a color at dusk that seems to remember another world. Suddenly, the senses return. The soul, anesthetized by utility, optimization, the daily grind, wakes. Uranus awakens by altering relation. Venus awakens by making reality desirable again. She does not remove us from the world, she restores the world to perception. Venus is reality awakened, not as shock, but as beauty. She helps existence become desirable enough to enter. And when the senses return, the world feels less like a mechanism and more like a living presence. And in returning to Carpenter's vision, art becomes complete when life itself becomes expressive. That is a radical idea. Beauty is not the privilege of the museum. Beauty is the dignity of form entering daily use. This is what he means by Venus as democratic, not as political slogan or party platform, but democracy in the deeper sense. Beauty made available to the common life. Beauty entering ordinary existence. A doorway can become Venusian. A sentence can become Venusian. A meal, a gesture, a body truly at peace with itself can become Venusian. A life can become Venusian. Isn't that a more generous vision of beauty? Venus refuses to let beauty belong only to the sanctioned masterpiece, the elite object, the idealized body, or the expensive room. She awakens value everywhere. This is adornment as incarnation. Here, Venus begins to speak with Saturn. Remember, Saturn castrated Ouranos, ultimately birthing Venus. There is a strong mythic connection between these three. Venus reveals what the soul finds beautiful. Saturn gives that beauty gravity. That image feels important for a larger astrological approach. Planets do not simply sit beside one another as separate meanings. They constellate realities. They gather into living relationships. Venus attracts, Saturn gathers. Beauty becomes gravity. What we find beautiful draws us in. It holds our attention. It asks something of us. Over time, attraction may become devotion. Desire may become craft. Beauty may become commitment. Saturn gives beauty consequence. It draws the soul toward what it loves long enough for love to become form. Venus says, come closer. Saturn says, come close enough to give it form. This is where beauty becomes more than a passing pleasure. It becomes a path of incarnation. By the end, Venus returns us to her cosmic origin, but she does not ask us to leave the world behind. That is the wonder of this image. The celestial does not only belong above us, it can descend into proportion, pattern, pleasure, and presence. Matter itself can become radiant with relation, responsive to desire, and alive with form. Through Venus, the heavens do not disappear into distance. They reappear in the world made beautiful. Venus is the power by which the starry sky, the cosmos, enters the skin of the world. And perhaps this is why beauty matters so deeply. It awakens participation. It restores the senses from exile. It gives the soul a way to enter the world without denying its sorrow, strain, or suffering. This is Venus as aesthetics, not anesthetics. One wakes the senses, the other dulls them. And when the world wakes, life itself begins to shine as art. For additional mythopoetic astrological content in essay form, visit my Substack, Mythic Currents, at mythiccurrents.substack.com. Thank you.